Well, the deaths of Tupac Shakur and the notorious B.I.G. in the late 90s sent shockwaves through the world and marked a pretty big turning point in hip-hop and rap music.
And now, in a new ABC News Live special, Tone Death, Loss and Hip-Hop, our Mona Kosar Abdi explores why violence in the rap community has become commonplace and how the rap industry can break the cycle. Here's her conversation with Audrey Jackson. She's the mother of murdered rapper Pop Smoke, about the loss of her son.
You get a phone call. Can you walk me through it?
I think Shiv said he's been shot, but he's okay. I just know people kept coming to the house, and even when folks kept coming, I was like, but he's okay, why are you all here? You know? And then when Shiv came, he said that he was gone. And I was like, oh. It didn't really sink in. And as I was moving through it, it still wasn't like, it didn't hit until I actually saw his body, which was a few days in. I mean, intellectually I understood. And that kind of still is where I am. You know, intellectually I understand it. The rest of me hasn't.
2 teens and 2 men were charged for the murder of Bashar Jackson on July 13th, 2020.
Mona joins us now to discuss her special. Well, I'll tell you, this is timely, right, Mona? Because it comes during the 50th anniversary of hip-hop. What do you think your biggest takeaway was from all of this as you sat down and did these interviews?
Well, Kira, it is timely. Hip-hop, whether you believe it or not, is relatively a new genre of music, but as we've seen, especially in recent years, there has been more loss. More artists have died in this genre of music than in any other genre of music. Critics say that it's because the music promotes violence and gang activity, but one of the biggest things and one of the biggest takeaways from this special is the fact that we look at these gun violence deaths and realize that it is not the music, that it is more of a reflection of the communities that these artists come from. And it's a larger systemic issue in America. And it's not just hip-hop music, but rather hip-hop music is how we see into these communities and the real life trauma that these artists are dealing with.
And Mona, you talked to the late Pop Smoke's mom, as we saw there, as well as another mother who lives down a few blocks from her. Her son, T. Wu, I guess is how his artist's name, shot in front of his childhood home just a year later. What did you learn from talking to these moms?
Terry, first, I want to say that it was very difficult to hear these women's stories because we see the headlines. As fans, we mourn the loss of some of our favorite artists, but we wanted to make sure that we saw these headlines through the loss of grieving mothers, through the eyes of grieving mothers. And what I saw is that that this grief is heavy and it's really difficult for them to deal with it. And what I also noticed is that both of these mothers, they raised their sons in Canarsie, Brooklyn. They grew up together, they rose to fame together, and they lost their lives within 2 years apart. And just watching these mothers have to live with that and cope with the loss of their sons that didn't even see 25 years old is very, very difficult, Terry.
You also spoke to rapper and Chicago-born Jerbo about how he's maneuvering the industry amid cultural trauma. Tell us about that.
So G Herbo grew up in Chicago, in one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in Chicago. And what really stood out to me in the conversation that we had is through his music, he's very open and vulnerable about his experience. He talks about therapy. He talks about being diagnosed with PTSD, things that you don't really necessarily hear in rap music. And he talks about the first time he went to therapy. And it was the first time that his therapist made him realize that some of the things that he thought were normal and that everybody was dealing with was part of PTSD, was dealing with PTSD. And so he talks about that. He talks about using music as therapy, but we also ride around Chicago with him and see him giving back to his community and speaking to the kids in that community as well.
Mona, it's a great subject, and it looks like a great doc. Mona Kosar Abdi, Thank you for that preview.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.